Welcome back to 8-Bit Politics. Today we're going to go over 10 games that I absolutely loved that everyone else completely hated. So this is going to be a very interesting list. This is not going to be the top 10 underrated games, games that people generally liked. Sometimes they don't like it, but, it deserves a lot more recognition. No, this is a lot more specific. These are games that critics and fans alike absolutely took a shit on this game, got really bad reviews from both users and critics alike, but I absolutely loved it. So this is going to be an interesting list, and I'm sure a lot of the entries on this list are going to be pretty controversial because there's some games on this list that people absolutely hated with a fiery passion. So I'm definitely in the minority with a lot of my picks, but regardless, we're going to ease into it a little bit with less controversial entries and then get very controversial towards the end. So number 10 is Watch Dogs. So, Watch Dogs is a very interesting entry on this list. A lot of people hated this game a lot because they felt like there was, false advertising in the E3 trailer, which, of course, I agree with. They also complained about things that I personally didn't find an issue with. They thought the story wasn't good because Aiden Pierce was kind of like a generic guy who had no personality. But I thought the story was good. I felt rewarded at the end of my gameplay experience, taking down all the villains and, all that shit. And I also enjoyed the hacking mechanics. People didn't care for it too much, said that it sucked. And that it was disappointing, but I thought it was very fun, hacking traffic lights and hacking people's cars and getting them off the road, and also hacking people's game on online multiplayer and, while they're playing single player. I love the online aspect of the game a lot. You could actually still find gameplay of those back in the day. I really enjoyed Watch Dogs. And I think a lot of the hate that it got was very unwarranted. I thought it did a great job differentiating itself from the Grand Theft Auto series and thought it was actually a very, very, very good open-world sandbox experience. So number 9 is Shadow the Hedgehog for the PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox. I absolutely loved this game when I was a kid. When I first played this game, I thought this game was so fucking awesome. I didn't actually think fuck, but, because I was 7 years old, and I was too young to think like that. But I thought the game was cool. I remember when I was a kid, this was one of my favorite games in the Sonic series. I thought Shadow the Hedgehog was awesome. I always loved Shadow. Sonic Heroes was my first Sonic game, and Shadow was featured in it a lot, and Shadow was always my favorite character. I always thought he looked cool. I thought he acted cool. And, also in Sonic Adventure 2, he played a very prominent role in the story, and playing as Shadow was always fun. Shadow the Hedgehog is fucking awesome. I don't care what anybody says. And Shadow the Hedgehog was a great game. I absolutely loved Shadow the Hedgehog. I thought the game's very high replayability was great. I played the game so many times, multiple playthroughs. You know how in games like Telltale and BioWare, you can make certain choices that determine how your playthrough is, how you play the game pretty much. That's what Shadow the Hedgehog did. They had multiple stages based on how you acted. So, for example, let's say the first stage, right? You do an evil action, or you do more evil than good. The next stage is an evil version of the stage, right? But then if you do something good, you get a completely different stage, completely different experience. And if you're neutral, you get another completely different experience. So there's so many different branching storylines, so many different branching stages, so many choices, man, in this game. And I thought that was so cool when I was a kid. And, people complained about that because it was too much all over the place. It wasn't as linear as a Sonic game, where you play, one playthrough and you get, one canon ending. Shadow the Hedgehog had so many multiple endings, and it was just crazy. So, people didn't like that, especially since, of course, most of what he did wasn't actually canon. But I thought the game was good. I thought that part of the game was very unique, and I thought that the guns, that was another thing people complained about, the guns. The guns were so bad. Why are they putting guns in a Sonic game? That's the thing. I thought most of the people who criticized the game were very unfair. They criticized Shadow the Hedgehog for being too similar to Sonic in the way that he moved, but also said it was too different from Sonic because there were guns in it, and he said, damn. He said a curse word. Oh, my God. I don't think damn is actually a curse word, but yeah, people were triggered by that. I just don't understand the hate that the game got. I think more people didn't like the game than liked it. You look at the reviews from users and critics on Metacritic, and the reviews are pretty bad. So yeah, I thought the game was good though. It was probably one of my favorite games in the entire Sonic series, if I want to be honest with you. So that is number 9. Number 8 is Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City for PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC. It was released in 2012. The way that the storyline worked, in the Resident Evil universe, you were pretty much playing as a member of Umbrella Corp, and the whole purpose of the storyline is to try and stop the zombie outbreak, like right as it's happening. But unfortunately, you're obviously too late, obviously, because that's how Resident Evil. That's how the series started, from a zombie outbreak, and obviously Umbrella Corp didn't stop it. But it was a very interesting dynamic playing as a member of Umbrella Corp and trying to stop the outbreak. It gave a completely different perspective for the series, and it was a very interesting storyline, and I loved it. People complained a lot about the AI being stupid and just how the gameplay can be clunky at times. But, I personally didn't enjoy the gameplay all that much, but I loved the story so much. And that's pretty much the main selling point of the game, was playing as Umbrella Corp and trying to stop the zombie outbreak. It wasn't, I get gameplay is very important, obviously. And I didn't think the gameplay was even that horrible. I thought it was okay. But I obviously was in it for the story and not for the gameplay. That's pretty much how it is for me with games. I care a lot more about the story than the gameplay. If the game has shitty gameplay and great story, that's a lot better for me than a game that has absolutely horrible story and has pretty decent gameplay. That's just my personal opinion. And I think Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City fit the former instead of the latter. It had, not so great gameplay, but it also had a great storyline, like a really good story. I loved it a lot. And that's why Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City deserves the number 8 spot on this list. Number 7 has to be Medal of Honor Warfighter. Released in 2012, it was a sequel to the 2010 reboot of the series. And man, people just took a shit on this game. So much so that EA actually ended support for the game not even 2 months after its release, which they never do. So yeah, that's how badly received this game was. This game got completely unfair reviews, in my opinion, from critics and users alike. People just didn't give this game a chance. The criticism that the first Medal of Honor game got, meaning the 2010 one, was that it was too similar to Call of Duty. So what was Warfighter's response to that? Okay, we're going to do something completely different. The way that the class system worked was unlike any other FPS game that came before it. With, my memory is a little bit foggy because I haven't played the game too much lately, because the servers are fucking dead. But I remember when I played it, you had different classes based on countries, NATO countries. So all the different NATO countries had different classes and different balancing. It was just so much of a unique experience. It was a breath of fresh air. If you're an FPS head, you love first-person shooter games, but you might feel that the market's a little bit stale. A lot of the games are too similar to one another. Medal of Honor Warfighter was, a military FPS, which, if you're a military FPS, you got to automatically be compared to Call of Duty, obviously. But this game just did so much different, and I thought they really delivered. And of course, the campaign was also very good, and all that. I thought the game was great. I thought the game was on the level of any Call of Duty game I've ever played, on the level of any other FPS game I've ever played that most people consider to be great. I loved Medal of Honor Warfighter. It's a shame that this game caused the series to pretty much die. It's been 6 years without a Medal of Honor game. That's crazy. And that honestly needs to change soon, but who knows if it ever will. But, it's just a shame that people never really gave this game a chance for whatever reason. And that's a damn shame. Number 6, Duke Nukem Forever. This game was in development hell for almost 15 years. And when it was finally released, people were very disappointed. And obviously I was too young to be around when the original Duke Nukem was out, so I can't say much about the original Duke Nukem, But from what I experienced, the game had a pretty solid campaign. The gameplay was fun. The shooting was fun. And it definitely didn't deserve to be like hated as much as it did. There was so much hate against this game. You look at the reviews and it's just incredible. Like, why is this game hated so much? I have no idea. But it is. And I'm still scratching my head as to why. I I really don't know. But yeah, Duke Nukem Forever definitely deserves a spot on this list because I absolutely enjoyed it. Definitely not one of my favorite first person shooters or whatever. I'm not gonna try to say it's absolutely amazing, but to say that it's just awful and it's like one of the worst games of the last generation is just absurd. But that's what a lot of people say. I don't know why, but whatever. All right, now we're getting into very controversial territory here. So, the top 5 games on this list, I'm giving you a trigger warning. It's going to be very controversial. A lot of people are going to disagree with me a lot. Maybe 10 through 6 people, some people might have resonated with it, but I think very few people are going to agree with me on the top 5 games. So we're going to do Infinite Warfare for number 5, okay? Let's see how many people start hitting the dislike button right now. But hear me out, okay? Infinite Warfare wasn't as bad as people said it was. The hate that Infinite Warfare got was just insane, okay? It was just one of the most disliked trailers on YouTube. It got so much shit against it. So many bad reviews. I just, it's not that I don't understand. I know why. People are sick and tired of futuristic, jetpack, wall-running Call of Duty games because there have been too many of them at that point. But does that mean you got to take a total shit on the game? Okay, so I am going to say, when the game came out, I was on the hate train, okay? I was completely on the hate train. When the game came out, I played like 2 or 3 games, and I'm like, I'm done with this game. This game is shit. This game sucks. Right? And I did purchase the season pass before, so I didn't really get to experience much of the game until a few months ago because I'm like, okay, I paid $100 for this game. I paid $100 for Modern Warfare Remastered, Infinite Warfare, and the season pass, and I have like 1 hour on the game. So, yeah, I think that needs to change, try to get my money's worth at least because at that time I had nothing else to play, really. I was bored with everything else I had. So I played Infinite Warfare, and I'm like, wow, at first I'm like, this game is so shitty, but I persevered, and I ended up actually liking the game. I'm like, play the game for what it is, judge it on its own merit. Yeah, I mean, futuristic Call of Duty games, it's kind of tiring at this point, but at least now those games are over with. So, just on its own, the game is great. I mean, it's not one of the best Call of Duty games ever made, but it wasn't as awful as people said it was either. He had a solid campaign, probably one of the better campaigns, honestly, in Call of Duty. You had pretty good zombies, maybe not as good as Treyarch, but pretty good. And the multiplayer was fun. It was fun multiplayer. I thought, and multiplayer is ultimately the most important aspect of the Call of Duty experience, and the multiplayer delivered. You had good maps, unlike, Call of Duty Ghosts where the maps weren't that great. But I don't understand, like, everyone hated this game. So now all the Call of Duty YouTubers, because of Infinite Warfare, and I guess World War II, they're all jumping to Fortnite all of a sudden. So, yeah, I mean, Infinite Warfare really turned a lot of people away from Call of Duty, but I don't understand why. Like, I do, but I also don't at the same time. Like, I think that's a little bit too reactionary, the way people responded to Infinite Warfare, and that's why Infinite Warfare deserves a number 5 spot on this list. Number 4, Walking Dead Survival Instinct for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, Wii U, and PC. Now, the PC version, from my understanding, is abysmal. So if you play this game on PC and you have your criticism against the game, my experience won't apply to you because I hear that the PC version is actually pretty abysmal. So if you're a PC gamer and you hated this game, you get a free pass. But everyone else who took a shit on this game, I don't know why people hated this game so much. I don't know why it got so low reviews. People said the game was broken and it's a broken mess and this game is awful because it's so broken. I never experienced that at all. And I've done multiple, and I mean multiple, like probably at least 4 playthroughs of the game. I've never experienced too many like AI issues. I I thought that the zombies were terrifying and scary. It was a pretty good first person horror survival experience. I didn't think that the zombies were broken and that the AI was broken in any capacity whatsoever. And I thought that the first person mechanics were fine. I didn't have any issue with the game whatsoever. I thought the game was pretty good, and I don't know if that's just because I'm a Walking Dead fan and I really love The Walking Dead, and I thought it was cool that you could play as Daryl, like his perspective, the beginning of the apocalypse, like watching his father get killed, and him trying to survive and get to Atlanta. So you're pretty much playing as Daryl before season 1, I guess, right? So I thought that the story was pretty good. I thought that the gameplay was also very good, and I loved the level design. I think that the zombies were pretty damn terrifying, and the game was just it was a good experience for me. I don't know. I really don't know where all this hate comes from. All the experience that these people are talking about that they had with the game, I just never had. I never had any of these experiences that everyone else had, apparently. I don't know if it's just because I got a lucky copy of the game that wasn't broken and had no issues whatsoever. That's probably very unlikely. I just, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe my just blind fanboyism for The Walking Dead is just, blinding my my vision for how awful this game truly is. But I love this game. I love it so much. And if it was backwards compatible on the Xbox One, I'd be playing it right now, actually. But I don't know. I don't think it deserved the hate it got. So it's definitely number 4 on the list because it was just the amount of hate that the game got and such low reviews the game got were definitely unwarranted, in my opinion. Number 3 is Daikatana for the Nintendo 64 and PC. Man, this game is definitely if you look at a top 10 worst games of all time list, there's a chance that Daikatana's on the list. And I enjoyed it, actually. I played the game, back in 2012, 2013 when I first got my PC, and I was just on an emulation craze. I downloaded the N64 emulator, and I downloaded Daikatana because I heard this game is so bad. So I'm like, oh, let's just play this game for the lulz because I heard it's so awful. I played it, and I'm like, this game actually isn't that bad. I didn't hate it that much. I thought it was a fine game. I wasn't crazy over it, obviously, but I didn't think it was like bad. I thought it was average. I thought it was okay. I didn't see how this game could be on a top 10 worst games list. I just didn't. I really didn't. Maybe the AI wasn't great and all that, but you play any FPS game from 2000 and you think the AI is so great. No, they're not. So I'm trying to see if it's more of a time issue, but there's got to be something else to it that I'm just not seeing because when the game was released in 2000, it got critically panned, so it has nothing to do with age. I'm not sure what it is. I'm really not. It plays fine for a 2000 FPS game. I just didn't see why this game was so hated. I thought it had a good charm to it. I thought the gameplay was okay for an old game, and I overall enjoyed my experience with the game. A lot of people might think I'm crazy, that I'm high on drugs or some shit, but I think Daikatana was a fine experience. Okay, okay. So yeah, the next 2 games, you thought the last few games that I mentioned were controversial. These next 2 games are going to be very, very controversial on this list. People are just going to really question my sanity. I mean, they probably already have with Daikatana and Survival Instinct and maybe even Infinite Warfare. But these next 2 games, people are going to probably lose some respect for me. But we'll mention them regardless. Okay, so number 2. Number 2 is Aliens Colonial Marines for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and PC. This game was released in 2012. For much hype. There was so much hype surrounding this game. So many people were excited about this game, and a majority were disappointed by the game, said it was awful, and it was such an awful game. It was one of the worst games of the 7th generation. And I honestly did not see that at all in the game. I thought the game was fine. It wasn't great, by any means, by any stretch of the means, but reason why it's so high on the list is because of just the amount of hate that the game got. And I don't think it was an average game. It didn't deserve to get like 2 out of 10s, 3 out of 10s, 4 out of 10s, and whatever else crazy low reviews the game got. I just think that the game deserved a little bit more than it got, a little bit more praise than it got. And I thought the game was fine. I had no serious problems with it whatsoever. I played Aliens vs. Predator on the PS3 in 2010, and I really enjoyed that game. So I was very, looking forward to Colonial Marines. And I was overall, based on my experience with Aliens vs. Predator, and which I enjoyed Colonial Marines. I thought it was a fine game, and it definitely didn't deserve to be on worst games of seven generation list or anything like that. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a pretty good game, and I enjoyed the gameplay. The gameplay was fun, and I thought the story was okay also. Again, I'm not going to say too much great things about it. I thought it was just okay, but the level of hate that the game got was definitely undeserved. So what can number 1 possibly be? I'm sure you guys are just the anticipation, right? What game could possibly be number 1 on this list? And how insane am I? Good questions. Both are very good questions, and I will answer that question right now. So, number 1 on this list. We need like a drum roll or something. Okay. Number 1. Ride to Hell. Ride to Hell Retribution on PS3, Xbox 360. Oh boy. I can see the dislikes just pouring in right now. People are wondering, what the hell is wrong with you? What the hell is wrong with you, 8-bit? Are you high on acid? Ride to Hell Retribution is number 1. What the hell is wrong with you, man? I'm sure all those comments are going to come in, and I'm just, man, I don't know how to explain why I like this game, honestly. I really can't. Like, I've given elaborate reasons as to why I like the other 9 games on this list. This game, I just love it. I don't know why. I just do. Is something wrong with me? Like, honest question, do you guys think something's wrong with me? Should I go to, like, a psychiatrist or something? That actually liked Ride to Hell Retribution, which is considered one of the worst games of all time. I honestly think it was just so bad that it's good experience for me. You guys have ever had that? You watched a movie or a show or, played another video game that was just so bad in every way that because of how bad it was, you ended up loving it. I thought just the gameplay was just so absurd, and and the cutscenes, with all that, those crazy sex scenes that were just totally ridiculous. And I don't know, man. Why do I love this game so much? It's a great question, and I wish I could give you like an elaborate answer, but I just can't. I think it was just so bad. The gameplay, the shooting and the melee and the driving, the motorcycle driving, and like I said, the sex scenes and the cutscenes in the game. It's just and the story, everything about the game was just so bad that it was good. And I honestly think that the developers did that on purpose. I think they honestly tried to create the most absurd game ever, and that's why Ride to Hell Retribution got such low reviews. I honestly think that the people who gave the game such low reviews, I think they just didn't understand it. So I'm pretty much talking about the entire gaming community. They just didn't understand Ride to Hell Retribution for what it was. It was just a completely over-the-top, absurd, ridiculous game. And I think they made the game and the plot and a lot of the gameplay mechanics awful on purpose. I honestly believe that. Maybe that's just me being, like, delusional or something, but I honestly think they set out to create the worst plot possible. The story makes absolutely no sense. To make the worst story, to make the most absurd cutscenes, with all the sex scenes and everything, and just to release the worst game possible, but at the same time, it was so bad that it was good. That's just. Oh man, I don't know. I thought it was great, and I can't wait to to upload this video and just see people's reaction to the number one pick on this list. Because a lot of the other picks, people might find to be absurd, like maybe The Walking Dead Survival Instinct, definitely Daikatana. I don't know anyone who's liked Daikatana ever. And what else? Infinite Warfare, I guess, because that was a pretty hated game. This game, people are going to definitely question my sanity. Definitely, without a doubt. And I can't wait. I can't wait to upload this on YouTube and see the reactions, because it's going to be great. So with that said, I'm going to end the video right now and get to work, because I cannot wait to see what people think about this list. It's definitely going to be interesting. But to those of you who've endured this long, let me know what your 10, what you would put in your top 10 list. What would be 10 games that you love that everyone else hates? Let me know in the comments down below. And specifically, what do you think about Rise of Hell Retribution, about me putting this at number 1? Am I the only one in the entire planet that liked the game? Probably. But hey, if there's anyone else out there, please let me know, so I don't question my sanity too much. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you later.